The next morning, the Zephyrian fleet watched in growing confusion as Earth began what looked like the strangest war preparation in galactic history. Instead of hiding or building weapons, humans were setting up what appeared to be a giant outdoor movie theater in space. Captain Alex Turner commanded a convoy of 20 Earth ships heading directly toward the alien fleet. His ships were not warships, at least not obviously. They looked like cargo vessels and construction ships. But Commander Vel Nash, watching from the Zephyrian flagship, noticed something odd about their movement patterns. "Sir," Vel Nash said to Admiral Crixtall, "these human ships are moving in perfect formation. Their navigation is too precise for primitive technology." Admiral Crixtall was still eating the popcorn from the night before. He had to admit it was delicious. "They're probably just good pilots. Don't read too much into it." Captain Turner's ships began deploying massive screens in space between Earth and the Zephyrian fleet. The screens were hundreds of meters wide and seemed to be made of some kind of energy field rather than solid material. Along with the screens, the humans set up powerful speakers and what looked like stadium seating. On Turner's ship, his communications, Officer Lieutenant Amy Watson was listening to the alien transmissions and trying not to laugh. "Captain, they keep asking each other what we're doing. One of them thinks we're building a surrender platform." "A surrender platform?" Captain Turner grinned. "I like that. Let them think that for now." The humans also deployed smaller ships that began setting up what looked like concession stands in space. These ships were staffed by cheerful humans who waved at the alien fleet as they worked. On Mars, Colonel Danny Rodriguez received his orders and burst out laughing. His aide, Major Kate Sullivan, looked over his shoulder at the message. "Sir, are those orders real?" she asked. "Send the Zephyrians a fruit basket and an invitation to tomorrow's show," Rodriguez read aloud. "Include samples of Earth's best foods and a personal note welcoming them to the neighborhood. Make sure the note is friendly, but not too friendly." Major Sullivan shook her head. "This is either the most brilliant military strategy ever or we've all lost our minds." "Maybe both," said Rodriguez. "Get me the biggest fruit basket we have, and make sure we include some of those chocolate chip cookies from the Mars Bakery. If we're going to confuse them, we might as well do it right." The fruit basket was delivered to the Zephyrian flagship by a young pilot named Lieutenant Bobby Clark. He flew his small ship right up to the massive alien vessel and asked permission to come aboard. "We have a delivery for Admiral Crixtall," he announced over the radio. "It's from the people of Mars Colony. They wanted to welcome you to the solar system." The Zephyrians didn't know what to do. They had never received gifts from people they were planning to conquer. After much discussion, they let Lieutenant Doc Clark walk onto the bridge carrying a basket full of fresh fruit, baked goods, and bottles of something called Earth coffee. The note attached was written in careful Zephyrian script. "Dear Admiral Crixtall and crew," the note read, "welcome to our solar system. We hope you enjoy these samples of our local foods. The red fruit are called apples. They're very sweet. The brown squares are chocolate chip cookies. The liquid in the bottles is coffee. It will help you stay awake for tomorrow's show. We hope you have a pleasant stay. Sincerely, the Mars Colonial Government." Admiral Crixtall read the note twice. "They have colonies on other planets?" "Apparently so, sir," said Vel Nash. "Our intelligence files don't mention any human colonies." "Our intelligence files are obviously wrong about many things," Admiral Crixtall muttered. He tried one of the cookies and found it surprisingly good. Lieutenant Clark smiled at the aliens. "If you need anything else, just let us know. We're all very excited about tomorrow's show. Earth Command has been planning something special for months." "Months?" Admiral Crixtall looked confused. "But we only arrived yesterday." "Oh, we knew you were coming long before that," Clark said casually. "We've been tracking your fleet since you entered our local star group. Very impressive ships, by the way. Our engineers would love to take a look at them sometime." The young pilot left the aliens staring at each other in shock. They had been detected months ago? How was that possible? Back on Earth, The preparations continued. News reporter Patricia Lee was setting up for what she called the biggest story of her career. She stood in front of a massive control room where hundreds of people worked at computer screens and communication panels. "This is Patricia Lee reporting from Earth Defense Command," she said into her camera. "Tomorrow, humanity will give the Zephyrian hegemony a demonstration they will never forget. I'm joined now by Dr. Kevin Brooks, Earth's Chief of Alien Relations." Dr. Brooks was a cheerful man in his 50s who looked more like a college professor than a military advisor. "Thanks, Patricia. We're very excited about tomorrow's presentation. We've been preparing for something like this for quite a while, Doctor." "Brooks, can you tell us what exactly humanity plans to show the Zephyrians?" "Well, Patricia, we want to give them a complete picture of who we really are. Sometimes first impressions can be misleading. We think once they see what Earth and humanity are really about, they'll understand why conquest isn't really an option." Meanwhile, in space, more strange things were happening. Captain Gary Mitchell commanded a ship called the USS Shadow. His ship was currently invisible, using technology that the Zephyrians didn't know existed. He was floating just a few hundred meters from the alien flagship, watching everything they did. "This is Shadow to Earth Command," he reported quietly. "The aliens are getting more confused by the hour. They've started testing their sensors, trying to figure out how we detected them so early. Any sign they're catching on to the real situation?" asked the voice from Earth Command. "Not yet," Mitchell replied. "They still think we're primitive, though they're starting to ask questions about our technology. The fruit basket from Mars really threw them off." "Good. Stay hidden until tomorrow. We want this to be a complete surprise." On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Krickstahl was having trouble sleeping. He had eaten too much of the Earth food, which was far better than anything his own people made. More importantly, things about this conquest weren't adding up. His science officer, Dr. Thex Ara, approached him with a worried expression. "Sir, I've been analyzing the human activities and I'm seeing some concerning patterns." "What kind of patterns?" "Well, sir, their ship movements are too coordinated. Their technology appears more advanced than our files suggest. And, sir, they keep talking about this show tomorrow like they've been planning it for a long time." Admiral Krickstahl tried another piece of chocolate. "Are you suggesting these humans might be more dangerous than we thought?" "I'm suggesting we might want to be more careful, sir. Something doesn't feel right about this whole situation." But Admiral Krickstahl had conquered too many worlds to be worried about one planet full of humans. Even if they had a few surprises, his fleet was still the most powerful military force in this part of the galaxy. On Earth, President Morrison held his final briefing before the show. The room was full of military commanders, scientists, and engineers. Most of them were trying not to look too excited. "Tomorrow, we reveal the truth to our Zephyrian guests," Morrison said. "I want this to be educational, but not cruel. Remember, the goal is to teach them why attacking Earth is a bad idea, not to humiliate them." General Carter raised her hand. "Sir, what if they don't take the lesson well? What if they try to fight anyway?" "Then we'll have to give them a more advanced lesson," Morrison replied. "But let's hope it doesn't come to that. I'd rather make friends than enemies." Admiral Phillips spoke up. "Sir, all our people are in position. The Mars fleet is ready. The asteroid stations are ready. The Jupiter defense platforms are ready. Even our friends from the Galactic Council are standing by in case we need them." "Excellent," said Morrison. "And the popcorn?" 10,000 bags and counting, sir," said General Carter with a grin. "Enough for everyone." As the second day began, the Zephyrian fleet found themselves surrounded by more human activity. Ships came and went constantly. Work crews continued setting up the viewing area. More gifts arrived from various human colonies and settlements. The aliens were beginning to realize that Earth was not the isolated, primitive world they had expected to conquer. But they still had no idea how wrong their assumptions really were. Tomorrow's show would change everything. The massive alien ship appeared above Earth on a Tuesday morning without warning. The ship was bigger than any city on the planet. It was black and covered with sharp edges that looked like weapons. The ship just sat there in space, blocking out part of the sun and casting a shadow over half of North America. People on Earth stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Cars pulled over on highways. Workers came out of buildings. Children pointed from school playgrounds. Everyone knew this was not good news. The alien ship sent out a message to every radio, television, and computer on Earth. The voice that came through was cold and mechanical. It spoke in perfect English, though everyone could tell it was being translated from another language. "Humans of the third planet from your star," the voice said. "I am Admiral Crixtall of the Zephyrian Hegemony. We are the rulers of this part of the galaxy. You will surrender to us in exactly 48 of your hours. If you do not surrender, we will destroy your planet and everyone on it." The message continued. "Do not think you can fight us. We have destroyed 1,000 worlds. Our weapons can crack planets in half. Your ships are toys compared to ours. Your weapons cannot hurt us. You have 2 days to give up. Use this time to say goodbye to each other." The message ended with a countdown timer that appeared on every screen on Earth. 48 hours, 47 hours and 59 minutes, 47 hours and 58 minutes. In Washington, D.C., President Jake Morrison sat in the Oval Office watching the alien message play again on the big screen. Around the table sat his top military advisors. None of them looked worried. In fact, most of them were trying not to smile. General Lisa Carter, who was in charge of all the military branches, opened a bag of popcorn and started eating it. "Mr. President," she said between bites, "did they really just give us 2 whole days? That's very nice of them." Defense Secretary Ryan Brooks pulled out his tablet and started typing. "I'm sending alerts to all our people, though I think most of them are already watching this on TV and laughing. Admiral Susan Phillips ran the Space Command, which most people on Earth didn't even know existed." She leaned back in her chair and shook her head. "These Zephyrians really didn't do their homework, did they?" President Morrison picked up his own bag of popcorn from the bowl on the table. "How long has it been since we've had visitors like this?" "About 300 years, sir," said General Carter. "Remember the Krillian Empire? They made the same mistake." "What happened to them again?" asked the president. "They're still paying us protection money," said Admiral Phillips. "Their great-great-grandchildren send us fruit baskets every Christmas." Ryan Brooks looked up from his tablet. "Sir, should I activate the welcome protocol?" "Oh, yes," said President Morrison. "Let's give our guests the full Earth experience." The truth was that Earth had been ready for something like this for a very long time. Humans had been traveling in space for over 500 years. They had colonies on Mars, mining stations on asteroids, and hidden bases throughout the solar system. Earth had been part of the galactic community for centuries, but they preferred to keep quiet about it. Most aliens thought humans were still primitive and stuck on their home planet. This was exactly what humans wanted them to think. It made life much easier when hostile aliens like the Zephyrians showed up expecting an easy conquest. The Zephyrian Admiral Crixtall stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Talon. He was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. His species had been conquering planets for thousands of years. To him, humans were just another primitive species that needed to be brought under Zephyrian control. "How long until they surrender?" he asked his second-in-command, Commander Velnash. "Our intelligence says they will probably give up in the first few hours," Velnash replied. "Humans are known to be cowards. They fight among themselves but run when faced with real power." Admiral Crixtall nodded. "Good. I want to finish this quickly. We have 12 more planets to conquer this month." What the Zephyrians didn't know was that their intelligence was completely wrong. The information they had about humans was hundreds of years old and had been deliberately planted by human agents. Every hostile alien species in the galaxy had the same outdated files about Earth. On the bridge of the Iron Talon, the communications officer looked confused. "Sir, we're getting a response from the humans." "Already?" Admiral Crixtall seemed surprised. They're surrendering faster than expected. No, sir, it's not a surrender. It's some kind of invitation. The message from Earth appeared on the main screen. President Morrison's face looked calm and friendly. Behind him, military officers were setting up what looked like a movie theater with comfortable chairs and big bowls of snacks. "Greetings, Admiral Crickstall," President Morrison said. "Thank you for your ultimatum. We appreciate the 2-day notice. That gives us plenty of time to prepare a proper welcome for you and your fleet." The president picked up a bag of popcorn and offered it toward the camera. "We've prepared a little demonstration for you. We think you'll find it very educational. We've also sent you a care package with some local snacks. The popcorn is grown right here on Earth. We hope you enjoy it." The message continued. "We know you've traveled a long way to visit us, so we want to make sure you get the full Earth experience. Please make yourselves comfortable. The show starts in 36 hours. Admiral Crickstall stared at the screen in confusion. "What kind of response is this? Are they mocking us?" "Sir," said the communications officer, "there's more. They've attached some kind of entertainment package and food." "Food?" Admiral Crickstall had never had a species offer him food before threatening to destroy them. Commander Vel Nash looked at his scanner. "Sir, a small human ship is approaching. It's not armed. They're actually bringing us something. The small Earth. Ship docked with the Iron Talon without asking permission. The human pilot, a woman named Captain Lucy Thompson, walked onto the Zephyrian bridge carrying several large boxes. "Delivery for Admiral Crickstall," she said cheerfully. "Compliments of Earth. We've got popcorn, chocolate, some Earth movies, and a note from our president." The Zephyrians stood frozen, not sure what to do. No one had ever just walked onto their ship and offered them snacks. Captain Thompson set the boxes down and opened one. The smell of fresh popcorn filled the bridge. "This is our kettle corn flavor, very popular. The chocolate is from Belgium. That's a country on Earth famous for making the best chocolate in the galaxy." Admiral Crickstall finally found his voice. "Are you not afraid? We are here to conquer your world." Captain Thompson shrugged. "Everyone's got to make a living. But since you're here, you might as well enjoy yourselves. The show our people are preparing is really something special. You won't want to miss it." She handed Admiral Crickstall the note from President Morrison. It was written in perfect Zephyrian script, which surprised him. The note read, "Dear Admiral Crickstall, welcome to the Sol System. We hope your stay will be memorable. We've prepared a small demonstration of Earth's hospitality. Please enjoy the snacks and try to relax. The show starts tomorrow. P.S. If you have any dietary restrictions, please let us know. We want all our guests to be comfortable." Captain Thompson smiled at the confused aliens. "If you need anything else, just call. We'll be right outside in our ship. Oh, and Admiral, you might want to watch our news channels tonight. We're doing some interesting things to get ready for tomorrow's show." She walked off the bridge, leaving behind very confused Zephyrians and the smell of popcorn. Admiral Crickstall looked at the note again, then at the boxes of food. In all his years of conquest, nothing like this had ever happened. Species either surrendered immediately or fought back desperately. They never invited him to watch a show and offered him snacks. "Sir," said Commander Vel Nash quietly. "What do we do now?" Admiral Crickstall honestly didn't know, but the popcorn did smell very good. The countdown timer reached 0 at exactly noon Earth time. As the 48-hour deadline passed, Admiral Crickstall expected to receive a message of surrender from the humans. Instead, he got something very different. All the screens that humans had set up in space suddenly came to life. Cheerful music began playing from the speakers. The first image that appeared was President Morrison sitting behind a desk, looking relaxed and friendly. Behind him, military officers were preparing what looked like a presentation. "Good afternoon, Admiral Crickstall and crew of the Zephyrian hegemony," President Morrison said with a warm smile. "Thank you for waiting patiently while we prepared. Today's demonstration, I hope you enjoyed the snacks we sent over." Admiral Crickstall looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at the screen in confusion. This was definitely not a surrender message. Today, we're going to show you a little bit about who we humans really are, Morrison continued. We thought it was important that you understand exactly what you're dealing with before making any final decisions about conquering our planet. The president picked up a bag of popcorn from his desk. We've prepared what we like to call Earth's greatest hits, a demonstration of some of our favorite capabilities. Think of it as a getting-to-know-you presentation. We hope you find it educational. The screen changed to show news reporter Patricia Lee standing in what looked like a military command center. This is Patricia Lee reporting live from Earth Defense Command. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most important show in human history. Admiral Crickstall turned to Commander Velnash. Are they making fun of us? I don't know, sir. This is unlike anything in our conquest protocols. Patricia Lee's voice continued from the speakers. Our first demonstration will be provided by the Asteroid Mining Division. Please direct your attention to the large asteroid approximately 1 million kilometers from your current position. Admiral Crickstall looked at his navigation display. There was indeed a large asteroid in the distance. It was roughly spherical and about the size of a small moon. Our mining ships are going to show you some basic reshaping techniques, Patricia announced. Suddenly, 12 human ships appeared near the asteroid. They had been completely invisible until that moment. You see, Zephyrians hadn't detected them at all. Dr. Thexera, the science officer, checked his sensors frantically. Sir, those ships just appeared out of nowhere. Our scanners show nothing, then suddenly 12 vessels. How is that possible? Admiral Crickstall demanded. The human ships began working on the asteroid with tools that looked like concentrated beams of light. The work happened incredibly fast. Within minutes, the asteroid was being carved and reshaped like clay in the hands of a master sculptor. When the work was finished, the asteroid had been transformed into a perfect replica of a human hand. The hand was positioned so that it appeared to be pointing directly at the Zephyrian fleet. More specifically, it was showing them the middle finger. That gesture, Patricia Lee explained helpfully, is a traditional human greeting that means, "Welcome to our neighborhood." Commander Velnash whispered to Admiral Crickstall. Sir, the precision required for that work is impossible. Our best engineers couldn't reshape an asteroid that quickly or accurately. The demonstration continued. The screen showed Captain Bill Jackson, a pilot in the Earth Space Force. He was sitting in the cockpit of a small fighter ship, grinning at the camera. Afternoon, folks, Jackson said. Today I'm going to show our guests some basic fighter maneuvers. Nothing too fancy, just some simple flying. Jackson's fighter suddenly appeared right between two Zephyrian ships. He had somehow gotten past all their sensors and positioned himself in the middle of their formation without being detected. As you can see, Jackson said, I'm currently flying between two of our guest ships. These are very impressive vessels, by the way, much larger than our fighters. Jackson began performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. He flew in perfect spirals around the Zephyrian ships, sometimes passing within meters of their hulls. His movements were so precise and so fast that the alien gunners couldn't track him. The key to good flying, Jackson explained as he looped around another Zephyrian ship, is understanding physics. When you really understand how space works, you can do some pretty interesting things. On the Zephyrian bridge, the weapons officer was trying desperately to lock onto Jackson's fighter. Sir, I can't get a target lock. He's moving too fast, and his ship is interfering with our targeting system somehow. How is he doing that? Admiral Crickstall asked. I don't know, sir. Our weapons should be able to track and destroy any fighter in the galaxy. Jackson finished his demonstration by flying directly over the top of the Zephyrian flagship. As he passed overhead, he waggled his wings in a friendly gesture. Thanks for being such good sports about this, he said. See you all later. His fighter disappeared again, vanishing from all sensors as if it had never been there. The show continued with more demonstrations. Captain Laura Hughes showed up commanding a ship that was twice the size of the Zephyrian flagship. Her ship had also been invisible until she chose to reveal it. This is the Earth vessel Starfire, Hughes announced. We use ships like this for long-range exploration and defense. She's not much to look at, but she gets the job done. The Starfire was actually beautiful and clearly more advanced than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. It was sleek and silver, with flowing lines that suggested both speed and power. We thought you might like to see what our standard battleships look like, Hughes continued. This one is about 5 years old, so it's not our newest design, but it's reliable. Dr. Thexara was scanning the Starfire frantically. Sir, this ship is reading impossible energy signatures. Their power levels are off our charts. And sir, there's something else. What? Sir, I'm detecting at least 50 more ships just like it. They're all around us, but they're cloaked. Admiral Krixtal felt a cold feeling in his stomach. 50 ships? At least 50, sir. Maybe more. I can't get clear readings through their stealth technology. The demonstration moved to planetary defenses. Lieutenant Colonel Diana Price appeared on screen, standing in what looked like a control room, buried deep underground. Hi there, she said cheerfully. I'm in charge of Earth's atmospheric defense grid. We thought you might like to see how we protect our planet from space debris and unwanted visitors. The sky above Earth suddenly came alive with lights. Streams of energy crisscrossed the atmosphere, creating patterns that were visible from space. The lights danced and swirled, forming shapes and symbols. This is our basic defensive network, Price explained. We can create pretty much any pattern we want. Today we're spelling out a message for our guests. The lights formed letters in the sky, spelling out words in perfect Zephyrian script. Welcome to Earth. Please enjoy your stay. We hope you can read that okay, Price said. We know 17 different galactic languages, including yours. We like to be good hosts. Commander Vel Nash was staring at his tactical display in shock. Sir, those energy beams, they're not just for show. Each one of those light streams could destroy a battleship. How many of them are there? Admiral Krixtal asked quietly. Thousands, sir. Maybe tens of thousands. They have the entire planet covered. The final demonstration was provided by Dr. Kevin Brooks, the scientist they had seen on the news earlier. He appeared on screen standing next to what looked like a massive computer. Hello, Admiral Krixtal, Dr. Brooks said, looking directly at the camera. I'm Earth's chief xenobiologist. That means I study alien life forms. I've been studying your species for quite some time. Dr. Brooks pulled up a holographic display that showed detailed information about Zephyrian biology, technology, and culture. The information was incredibly detailed and completely accurate. We know all about your homeworld, Brooks continued. Beautiful place, by the way. We particularly like your crystal forests. We also know about your military capabilities, your government structure, and your conquest history. The display showed images of the Zephyrian homeworld that were so detailed they could only have been taken by someone who had actually been there. We've been watching your empire for about 300 years, Brooks explained. We have agents throughout your territory. We know about every ship in your fleet and every planet you control. Admiral Krixtal sat down heavily in his command chair. They have agents in our territory? Sir, Vel Nash said quietly. If they know this much about us, why didn't we know anything about them? Brooks answered the question as if he had heard it. You're probably wondering why your intelligence about us was so wrong. The truth is, we gave you that information. We like to keep a low profile, so we make sure that hostile species think we're still primitive and stuck on our homeworld. The scientist smiled. It makes life much easier when aggressive neighbors think you're not worth worrying about. But when someone like you shows up demanding surrender, well, then we have to correct the misunderstanding. The screen switched back to President Morrison, who was still sitting at his desk eating popcorn. And that concludes our little presentation, Admiral. We hope you found it informative. Morrison leaned forward. Now, we need to talk about your options. You came here planning to conquer Earth. As you can see, that's not really possible. So what would you like to do instead? Admiral Krixtal looked around his bridge. Admiral Krixtal sat in stunned silence for several minutes after the human demonstration ended. Around him, his bridge crew whispered nervously among themselves. Everything they had believed about humans was wrong. Everything their intelligence reports had told them was false. "Sir," Commander Velnash said quietly, "what are your orders?" Admiral Krixtal didn't know what to say. In 40 years of conquest, he had never faced a situation like this. Usually, primitive worlds either surrendered immediately or fought desperately, with inferior weapons. No one had ever invited him to watch a show that proved how completely outmatched he was. The main screen flickered again, and Captain Gary Mitchell appeared. He was sitting in the cockpit of his ship, the USS Shadow, but now the ship was visible and floating just 100 meters from the Zephyrian flagship. "Good afternoon, Admiral," Mitchell said with a friendly wave. "I'm Captain Mitchell. I've been keeping an eye on your fleet for the past few days. Hope you don't mind." "You've been watching us?" Admiral Krixtal found his voice. "Oh, yes, sir. We've had ships shadowing your fleet since you entered our solar system. Actually, we've been tracking you for about 3 months, ever since you left Zephyrian space." Mitchell pulled up a display that showed the route the Zephyrian fleet had taken from their homeworld to Earth. The route was marked with timestamps and detailed notes about every stop they had made. "We knew you were coming before you knew you." "We're coming," Mitchell continued. "Our intelligence network picked up your mission orders the day they were issued. We've been preparing for your visit ever since." Dr. Thexera, the Zephyrian science officer, spoke up. "How is that possible? Our communications are encrypted." Mitchell shrugged. "Your encryption is pretty good by galactic standards, but we've been cracking Zephyrian codes for decades. We actually helped design some of the improvements to your encryption system about 20 years ago." "You helped design our security systems?" Admiral Krixtal felt dizzy. "Through intermediaries, of course. We like to help our neighbors stay secure. Makes the galaxy a safer place for everyone." The screen changed to show Lieutenant Colonel Diana Price again. She was now standing outside on what appeared to be a space station that hadn't been there before. "Admiral Krixtal," she said, "I'd like to welcome you to Defense Platform Alpha. We just finished building it this morning." The camera pulled back to show a massive military station floating in space. It was easily the size of a small city and bristled with weapons and defensive systems. "We can build one of these in about 6 hours when we need to," Price explained. "This one has enough firepower to defend an entire star system. We thought you might like to see what our emergency construction capabilities look like." Admiral Krixtal stared at the station. "They built that in 6 hours?" "Sir," Dr. Thexera said, checking his instruments, "the construction materials came from asteroids in this system. They literally turned rocks into a military base in less than a day." "That's impossible." "Apparently not, sir." The demonstration continued as more human capabilities were revealed. Captain Susan Edwards appeared commanding a ship that emerged from what looked like empty space near Jupiter. "This is Captain Edwards on the Earth vessel Titan's Guard," she announced. "We're one of the ships stationed at our Jupiter defense platform. We thought we should introduce ourselves since you're in our neighborhood." The camera showed the area around Jupiter, and Admiral Krixtal's jaw dropped. There were dozens of human ships and several large military stations orbiting the giant planet. The installations looked like they had been there for decades. "Jupiter Station has been operational for about 50 years, Edwards explained. "We use it as our main shipyard for the outer system. We build about 100 ships a year here." Commander Velnash was frantically checking his long-range sensors. "Sir, there are similar installations around Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. How did we miss all of this?" "Our sensors were probably being fooled," Admiral Krixtal said weakly. "Their technology is clearly far more advanced than we thought." The next revelation came from Dr. Kevin Brooks, who appeared on screen again. This time, he was standing in what looked like a museum filled with alien artifacts. "Admiral, I wanted to show you our collection of Zephyrian technology," Brooks said, gesturing to the displays around him. "We've been studying your ships and weapons for quite some time. The museum contained pieces of Zephyrian equipment that Admiral Crixtall recognized. Some of it was from ships that had been lost in battles years ago. Some of it looked like current military technology that should have been impossible for humans to obtain. We're particularly interested in your faster-than-light communication system, Brooks continued. Very clever design. We've made some improvements to it that you might find useful. Brooks held up a device that looked like a Zephyrian communicator, but clearly modified with human technology. This version has about 10 times the range and uses encryption that even we can't break, he said with a smile. We'd be happy to share the improvements with you. As a gesture of friendship, of course. Admiral Crixtall realized his mouth was hanging open. They've been stealing our technology and improving it? Apparently so, sir, Velnash replied. Sir, if they can improve our best technology, what does that say about their own capabilities? The answer came from Admiral Ben Parker, who appeared on screen commanding what looked like a mobile space city. The vessel was enormous, larger than anything the Zephyrians had ever built. Good day, Admiral Crixtall, Parker said. I'm Admiral Parker, commanding the Earth Battle Station Fortress Prime. We're what humans call a heavy cruiser. Heavy cruiser? Admiral Crixtall looked at the massive ship on his screen. That thing is bigger than our entire fleet put together. This is one of our smaller battle stations, Parker explained. We use ships like this for long-range exploration and peacekeeping missions. She's got a crew of about 50,000 and carries a full fighter wing. The camera showed the interior of the ship, revealing vast hangar bays filled with fighters and smaller vessels. The scale was overwhelming. We have 12 ships this size currently in service, Parker continued, plus about 200 smaller battleships and maybe 1,000 cruisers and destroyers. We like to be prepared for any situation. Dr. Thexara was running calculations on his computer. Sir, even one of their heavy cruisers could destroy our entire fleet, and they have 12 of them? Plus all the smaller ships, Admiral Crixtall said numbly, plus the planetary defenses, plus the space stations. He paused. How many humans are there? The answer came from President Morrison, who appeared on screen again. Behind him was a display showing population figures for various human settlements. Earth has about 12 billion people, Morrison said. Mars has 2 billion. The asteroid colonies have about 500 million. Jupiter system has 1 billion. And we have smaller settlements throughout this part of the galaxy with maybe another 1 billion people total. The president smiled. We've been busy over the past few centuries. We like to spread out and explore. We currently have colonies in 47 star systems. Admiral Crixtall felt like the universe was spinning around him. 47 star systems? 48. If you count the new settlement we just established in the Alpha Centauri system last week, Morrison corrected himself. The final revelation came from Captain Sarah Williams, who appeared to be speaking from the bridge of a ship in deep space. Admiral Crixtall, this is Captain Williams of the exploration vessel Deep Space Nine. I'm currently about 50 light-years from Earth conducting a routine survey mission. The implication was clear. Humans had ships operating far beyond their home system, ships that could travel faster than anything in the Zephyrian fleet. We have about 300 exploration ships like this one scattered throughout the galaxy, Williams continued. We like to keep track of what's going on in the neighborhood, she smiled at the camera. In fact, we have ships currently observing all the major military powers in this part of the galaxy, including your homeworld, Admiral. Captain Joe Patterson says hello from the Zephyrian system. He's been watching your home fleet for about 6 months now. Admiral Crixtall stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. You have ships in our home system? Just one, Williams said. Captain Patterson is very good at staying hidden. He's been sending us reports about your military activities. That's how we knew about your conquest plans. Commander Velnash grabbed Admiral Crixtall's arm. Sir, if they have ships in our home system, they know everything about our defenses. They could attack our homeworld at any time. But they haven't, Admiral Crixtall said slowly. They could have destroyed us at any time. But they haven't. President Morrison appeared on screen one final time. Admiral, we don't want to destroy you. We don't want to conquer your empire. We don't want to hurt your people. Morrison leaned forward. What we want is for you to understand that conquest isn't necessary. The galaxy is big enough for everyone. There's no need to fight over planets when there are billions of empty worlds waiting to be settled. We've been part of the galactic community for centuries, Morrison continued. We trade with dozens of species. We share technology. We help settle disputes. We work together to explore new parts of TT. You want us to become peacekeepers instead of conquerors? Why not? You're good at military operations. You just need to point that skill in a better direction. Admiral Crickstowl smiled. It was an expression that felt strange on his face, but increasingly natural. President Morrison, I think the Zephyrian Empire would be honored to become partners with humanity. Excellent, Morrison said, reaching for more popcorn. Now let's talk about setting up some cultural exchange programs. I think your people would really enjoy Earth's amusement parks. 6 months after the failed conquest of Earth, Admiral Crickst